It will be the 36th meeting between the Penguins and Salukis on Saturday, and it is one that is important to both sides, and especially when it comes to that FCS playoff resume, as SIU is at Youngstown State on Saturday for a 1 o'clock Central kick. With Mike Trude, the coach Pat Poore, I am Luke Martin. This is your Saluki Radio preview. And Mike, you look at the last 8 meetings in Youngstown, Ohio, Penguins have won 7 of the 8. The last win that Southern had was during that COVID season in the spring of 21, but many of those games have come right down to the wire. This has been a really fun series.
It has, and Southern has taken good teams into Youngstown and not been able to come away with a victory. Youngstown, it's a tough place to play. They usually draw pretty well. It seems like Southern always plays the game there in November sometime when seasons are changing. It gets a little cooler. The wind blows incredibly crazily at different times in that stadium. So it's a tough road trip for the Salukis to go on, for anybody to go on in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Makes it even tougher, Pat Poore, when you have a quarterback in Bo Brungard, and I think it'd be disrespectful to start with anyone else other than him. We've seen a lot of good quarterbacks already this year. What separates him in that elite category?
Yeah, as an old quarterback coach, the one thing, and his numbers are staggering, he pops on film, but the one thing I noticed about him, and Coach talked about him, the attention to detail, that dude carries out every fake, runs it 10 yards down the field. I mean, he does the little things, and I think that's a big piece of just the year that, not only last year, but this year to this point that he's had, is just he is locked in, and he's got great DNA. His dad was a coach. You can tell he's truly entrenched in that program and leads that offense, and coach has handed him the keys, and I mean he's doing everything really well at a high level.
Not very often you see the quarterback have 105 more rushing attempts than the next closest man on the team. That is Bo Brungard, but Jaden Gilbert's got almost 350 yards rushing on the year, and he's third in receiving. There's weapons on this YSU offense, especially when you factor in Flash Wilson, and then Max Tomczak has been there a long time.
Okay, stop already. Yes, they're very efficient on offense, and yeah, Brungard gets 19 carries a game on average. Gilbert, the tailback, really only averaged 7 to 8 carries per game. Now, he's very good at catching passes out of the backfield as well. He's one of their top receivers. You mentioned Tomczak. It seems like Max Tomczak's been with that program for 25 years, and we know he hasn't, but he's just always there, and he and Brungard are roommates. They have played together now for 3 years, and they know each other's movements like it was, ingrained in them. So when a special play has to be made in the passing game, Tomczak likely 90% of the time is going to be that receiver.
This is one of the more balanced defensive stat teams that you'll see. 5 players with 40 or more tackles on their defensive side. Coach Poore, you have watched them on film. What impresses you about their scheme and some of the guys that popped out on film to you?
Well, they play real good base defense. I mean, they're 4 down about 80% of the time. They'll crank it up and pressure you and play some odd front looks on 3rd down. But, another defense that really good safety play. Shahid's like their leading tackler, but he's one of those guys that's down in the box. He's back in the back end, really involved. 2 linebackers, have good stats, are very active. Typical Youngstown State defensive guys, Ohio dudes that they'll strike you, they'll tackle you. They're good in their pressure game. And then the guy that stood out to me, too, is number 39, Hodge. He's like their will linebacker nickel guy. Really active, does a lot of stuff. You'll see him in the middle of the field in like their Tampa 2 stuff. You'll see him down on the line of scrimmage, blitzing. He's a drop guy that he plays all over the field, and really a ball hawk. Statistically, he doesn't have a lot of, splashy stats, but he's always around the ball, and a guy that you got to know where he's at and where he's lined up.
They always say, and we've said it multiple times, you remember November. And for this Saluki program, Mike Trude, they have played 13 in recent memory, 13 games against ranked competition in November. They are 2-11 in those 13 games. They have lost their last 5. The last win came in the playoff in a do-or-die game against South Dakota when they were ranked 17th in the country, and the Salukis got a huge win in the Dakota Dome that day to keep their postseason alive. How do the Dogs win a game that Youngstown feels like they can't lose? And in a way, the Salukis are in that same camp.
Yeah, I think it's different this year because both teams truly feel like they can't afford to lose this game. Now, that means that both teams are going to play tight. I think the Salukis have shown that if they can get to the field in good spirits and know that they can play loose, play free, but play the way that they have been playing, they're talented enough to get the job done this year. Obviously, mistake-free football has got to be the mantra. They can't put it on the ground. DJ's got to have a good game, try to not, and Youngstown's defense is a ball-hawking defense, so they're going to go after you. But Southern, more important than ever, has to play a clean game to eliminate Brungard getting more opportunities to have the football. The less you see of him on the field, the better your chances are going to be.
Should be a great environment on Saturday in Youngstown, Ohio. We hope you join us for our radio broadcast tomorrow. Kick is at 1 o'clock Central, which means our pregame coverage will begin at noon from Youngstown and the Ice Castle. For my partners, the Coach Pat Poor, Mike Trude, I am Luke Martin. We will talk to you tomorrow for a big-time Missouri Valley Football Conference game. Go Dogs!